My home service business has gone from 0 to 300K in just 7 months this year, and I've learned that there are only 3 paths to success as a home service business owner, and most entrepreneurs are picking the wrong one. Or even worse, they're trying to pick multiple. Here's the framework that absolutely changed everything. Little background on me, I was a Division I linebacker at UC Davis, and one of my teammates came up to me and asked to knock on doors for window cleaning for him, and I didn't even know what door knocking was or anything like that. And I started doing that, and quickly in like 2 weeks, we had 20 to 30 guys on the football team working for us at any week. And what you'll learn is, in something like window cleaning, getting to 5, 10K a week is not that difficult, but it's staying there, or even harder, growing from there, that is gonna make your life difficult. And most entrepreneurs get stuck there because they don't pick a path to growth. They just keep doing one-off jobs, knocking on doors, posting on social media. So what are the 3 paths? Number 1 is the subscription or recurring revenue model. This is what you see online when you see people talking about getting those subscriptions and getting people to buy into home service plans that is year-round, and it keeps the revenue recurring. Now, this is an absolutely great path to go if you're gonna take it, but one thing I'd recommend is you need to actually know how to clean windows or how to do whatever your service is really well before you start doing this, because people aren't gonna stick with you if you're not doing a great job. The other thing is you're gonna have to be able to sell, because it's a lot easier and lower commitment to get somebody to give you $300 one time than it is for them to give you their credit card and have them paying month over month for your service. You also probably need things like a brand, a social media presence, licensing, insurance, which you should have anyways, but those things have to be super dialed in for this model to work. If you want to do this model, the first thing you got to do is set up on Stripe or another payment processor how to take credit cards and recurring revenue. Then what you need to do is actually run your numbers. See how much are you going to bring in throughout the course of the year and how much is going to cost you throughout the course of the year, and you should know how much you're actually profiting per month. On a $60 a month payment plan, you might be, say, profiting $25 of that, which would be pretty good. That's how you can figure out things like lifetime gross profit, but that's not what you're worried about right now. What you're worried about right now is staying afloat and growing your business. This business model isn't perfect, but if you're strictly in one service out of any of the home services, this could be the best way to do it. It keeps you away from dry months, those seasons where there's not a lot of work. You're still bringing in revenue, and allows your business to grow in enterprise value so you can sell it one day. Path number 2 is what I call the Shapeshifter, right? It's that business that literally does everything. And in home services, this can honestly kind of happen by default. Somebody asks you if you can paint, and all of a sudden you can paint. Somebody asks you can gutter clean, pressure wash, do whatever. All these services, you can kind of figure them out. And over time, you can actually start to build a reputation as the company that does everything. And this can be great because there's so many people who need one-off jobs and random tasks, and you're always the people that they call. And it's also a great way to stack LTV, because you might have customers reach out and they need a table moved, and then they need their house painted, and then they need their gutters cleaned. And you can position yourself to be the person for all of that. So there's tons of opportunities for revenue, there's tons of opportunities for high profit margins, and you have a huge market to go take over. What's the problem with it? Well, the problem is you actually have to be able to do all of those services that you're saying you're offering. I'm gonna be fully honest, we had times where people would ask us if we can do things that we had no idea what they were. But we looked up a YouTube video and got it done. But I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that along the way of doing that, there weren't jobs that we did mess up and that we had to refund the money for, or things like that, those mistakes that you learned from, because we were not providing the top value of service. And also, you're going to need to have skilled employees, or a lot of employees that know how to do a lot of different things if you want to do this. Also, something to note about this is the marketing's kind of confusing. What are you going to run ads for? And when people see your company, what are they going to be able to tell that you do? For us, we didn't want to put ourselves in a box with Aggie Elite Services being the name, but it's a blessing and a curse, because we do a lot of services, but then also people don't know exactly what the services are. This could be the thing that breaks you out of knocking on doors every day to becoming someone that has consistent work. And the third path to doing this, and this is one that I don't see talked about very often, is going commercial. What I mean by this is property manager, commercial real estate, things like that. There's so much money to be made here, and yet nobody talks about it. And the reason why I think nobody talks about this is because it's not flashy. There's nothing really exciting about cleaning gutters on an apartment complex. And it's definitely not as flashy as saying you're selling $1,000 subscriptions, and when you get 100 clients, that's $100,000 of recurring revenue, and your business is now worth 300 grand. Like, it's not as flashy as saying that. Most of the times, commercial properties won't give you contracts to do the jobs year over year. And there's a lot of problems with it, which I'll get into in a second, but it is a gold mine. So I'm gonna give you an example. Our average ticket for a commercial job is $12,616. and our average ticket for a residential job is $346. I'll get into the cons in a second, but just understand how many residential jobs you have to do to make up for the revenue in one commercial job. Now, if it were this easy, everybody would be doing it. So what are the problems with it? Well, the first problem is it's not easy to get into. So if you're thinking about this and you want to become a commercial services business in some way or another, you have to factor in that you're actually going to start to have pretty high upfront costs now, because your insurance is going to have to be like seriously good. You can't just have like the cheapest stuff that you find online. They're going to vet you. And on top of that, a lot of the times these services are so big that if you're a 1 or 2 man army, you might not actually have the capacity to fulfill on them. And also the worst part about this, and the part that I hate, is at the end of the day, it is completely commoditized. And what does that mean? It's a Hormozyism, meaning that the only thing that matters is price. It's a race to the bottom. So how these deals actually works is you get in contact with all of these management firms and you try to get responses from them and, inquiry about what services they're gonna need. And they're gonna let you know, back or not, maybe at some point, what they need a vendor for. When they need a vendor, they will ask you to bid on jobs. And yeah, they look at things like the company's reputation and stuff like that, but most of the time, the only thing that they're comparing is price, which means your margin on these things is not gonna be great. If you can live after playing customer acquisition around, 30 to 40% gross margin on like a window cleaning job, that's really good. But when you step into the commercial land, expect to drop closer to 15, 20%. But there's huge upside on this end. One of the things that I really like about the commercial route is you might not be a marketing and sales guru. You might not want to be a guy that wants to pour tons of money into Facebook ads and study your customer acquisition. And if you want to get to that point, if you want to be super successful, expect to have to learn those things. But this is your pathway to building a super high revenue, high income business without having to go through the hassle maybe of closing 100 clients. In reality, you could build 5 or 6 good relationships with property managers that you vendor for, and you could pull 200 grand a year doing that. And especially if you're a guy that's doing most of the services yourself, that might be totally fine for you. But if you're somebody that wants to scale fast, this might not be the model for you because it's slow. It takes time. Most of these guys work on a net 30 basis anyways, which means you're not even getting paid until 30 days after you do the job. And they move slow. You have to get insurance cleared, you have to get checks cleared, you have to get jobs cleared. Everything with corporate America is just way slower than you go and knock on a door and an hour later you're cleaning their windows and getting paid. So how do you know which one's right for you? Well, if you want to scale and you want to grow, you want to hit it big, you need to go with the recurring revenue model. It's the most lucrative. You're gonna bring in the most money. You're gonna be able to have your business be worth the most. And you can actually survive any season off of one service. You lose all seasonality risk. And you can build a brand that is huge that is gonna allow your business to be worth a lot and get better multiples on your profit. Now, if you're somebody that's really tactical and you're doing this as like a team with a group of people, I would say that the more Shapeshifter route is gonna be better for you because you can do all these different services, you have tons of different ways of getting paid, and you're really never gonna run out of work. Our first couple months, we literally tried to do all of these things, and listen to this clearly. If you don't get anything else out of this, listen to this. Do not try to do everything. You will suck at all of them. For us, we launched our subscriptions and we got 2 people on them because guess what? We weren't doing that because we were also launching our car detailing and our pressure washing and our permanent holiday lighting. And on top of that, I was reaching out to 50 property managers a day. Like, it's just not sustainable. But then all of a sudden, when we started making money? When we said all we were going to do was permanent holiday lighting. And then we spent 3 months only doing permanent holiday lighting and did more revenue in those 3 months than we did in the first 4. And then we built a brand around the permanent holiday lighting. So drop in the comments below, which one of these 3 business models would you take? And notice, this applies to all service businesses, not just the typical window washing ones. If you want to learn to grow, you want to make more money, you want to take care of the money while it's there, subscribe to this channel. I'll be posting videos weekly.